They see movies and they play video games, but they're not very good at reading. So they don't really read that much, not even comics. But World Class is different. They at least have people on there who do a little bit of comic book reading. So hopefully we'll be in good hands. So we're going to hear Jeff, and his object of tirade is Shang-Chi. I'm not even totally against what they're saying. Some of what they say is fine. But then, of course, they have to make complete baboon fools of themselves on a topic they could have easily rectified if they had bothered to do any elementary research. But let's hear him speak and make a complete fool of himself.
Complaint is, who is Shang-Chi and why should I care? The answer? He's nobody and you shouldn't. More importantly, Disney and Marvel, they know that you don't care, and I have the actor to prove it. The release of Marvel's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings will mark the first major Asian American Marvel superhero on the big screen. Let's stop right there for a second. Simu Liu is not the first Asian American to portray a Marvel character. Olivia Munn is. Olivia Munn played Psylocke in X-Men Apocalypse, and she's as Asian American as Simu Liu. I can't believe I just said that. As Asian American. The world sucks, but lying sucks just as much. Stop with the firsts narrative. First this, first that. If first is most important, Psylocke wins, though I'm sure more research will further the point that Simu Liu is not the first even more. I digress.
Alright, I guess the big refutation is Olivia Munn and Psylocke. Now, for those who don't know, Psylocke is usually considered this very powerful fighter in the X-Men team in terms of her regular canonical appearance. And it is correct, Olivia Munn is Asian. And the version of Psylocke we see in that relevant film they talk about, Apocalypse, is Asian. But here's the problem. Psylocke is not technically Asian. Psylocke's real name is Betsy Braddock. She's the sister of Captain Britain. And you might think to yourself, wait a minute, wait, what? Yeah, she's the sister of Captain Britain. She was born white. She's not technically Asian. She was transformed into an Asian woman in a conflict with one of the villains. In fact, a really weird villain, Mojo. Essentially, Mojo's sort of Asian underling got into a fight with her, and her genetics got screwed up, and she became Asian. But she's technically British, and she's white and British, but she was transformed into an Asian woman. But she's not Asian. Now, to be perfectly fair to Jeff, they screwed this up in a couple places. It's not just the movies. Even the cartoon got this wrong. When we see Betsy in the cartoon, it's the same thing. We just see her as Asian. We don't see the transformation. So if you just went by the cartoon and or the film, you might think Psylocke was always Asian. No, that's after this transformation period. So you can cite her, but then you want to qualify and say, well, P.S., by the way, she's not technically Asian. She was born white. They didn't do that. They're just like, you see Psylocke and Olivia Munn. Now don't you feel stupid? Well, you're right. You should feel stupid, but it's not Simu, it's you, for being an idiot. And Jeff can't have the excuse he doesn't know comic books. He does. He knows his Spider-Man comics. But as we can see, he still doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Now, that said, Simu is exaggerating that he's the only Asian in the Marvel Universe. Technically, we have had others. We've had Jubilee in an X-Men 2, X-Men United. We've also had some other prominent Asian roles, although technically they're mostly villains. Again, Simu's playing the hero, and he's explicitly framed as a hero. He's not just playing an Asian character, he's playing the lead protagonist and the lead heroic protagonist. Prior to this, we've only really had prominent Asian villains in the Marvel films and or Jubilee. And even Jubilee is really just a cameo. I remember seeing X-Men and X-Men 2 in the theaters. I paid full price tickets. I thought they were really great films. I did catch Jubilee and I was excited, but really, if you blink, you're going to miss her. She's just there for a couple seconds. Now, she is in a deleted scene if you look it up in the internet or through your DVD. But again, if you just saw the theatrical films, you'd be like, Simu is not wrong. We basically just got a cameo of Jubilee. We get a few, quote, Asian villains, but was there ever a prominent lead Asian male character, heroic character in the Marvel comic movies? No. We've had Blade, that's a black male. We've had women, right? Elektra, Captain Marvel, but an Asian male? No. An Asian woman? No. And Psylocke doesn't count. She's a major character, but A, she's not a hero. She's actually a villain in the film. They're also getting that wrong. Why would Psylocke be a villain? That doesn't make any sense. Like, she was forced by the hand to do really dirty, evil stuff, but that was being coerced. She's supposed to be a heroic character. So they also technically screwed that up in the cartoon. They make her into a thief for no reason. So it's like, okay, there you go. Now, again, he still has a point. Simu is exaggerating, right? We have Bruce Lee, Donnie Yen, Jackie Chan. For obvious reasons, I'm going to emphasize Jackie Chan. He's a really great, powerful Asian artist. So there have been prominent Asian actors and Asian heroes, but in terms of Marvel Comics, he's correct. This is the first time a prominent male hero of Asian descent is in a Marvel film. Again, we'd have to start stretching the term Asian and or really distorting the history and even the comic book history. But if you're going to come with Psylocke, you should really warn your listeners, if you're going to use Psylocke, that this may not exactly be an apples to apples comparison. It may be a little bit more apples to oranges, and at least be honest. But I'll give him this. He probably is actually ignorant. He probably just went with the cartoon or the movies, didn't double check anything, or is a complete idiot to begin with. But again, I'll give him this. He is a Spider-Man fan. He does know his Spider-Man comics. But it just goes to show, even Fandom Menace people who allegedly know the comics still get stuff wrong all the time. But I do agree with him. Simu is exaggerating a little bit. But in terms of the specific point about this being the first prominent male Asian hero with his own Marvel comic story, that's true. It's unfortunately true. In the vast history of Marvel, which is now pretty stunning, it's almost going to be over 60 years, really haven't had that many prominent Asian heroes, and certainly almost none of them on film. And that is the sad record. You can either deal with it honestly, or lie about it, or just say ignorant remarks about it. And I'll leave it to the viewer whether Jeff totally lied to us or just being a stupid moron. Thank you for listening.